Hello there and welcome. I'm Bob Proctor. You know, in 1961, I picked up Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich. Boom, like that. My entire life changed. I was sitting in a fire hall in a suburb of Toronto in Canada. I was earning $4,000 a year and I think I owed $6,000. Things were not too brilliant. I really had no hope of how to really do anything much different than I was doing. But then I got into that book, and things started to happen. Do you know, a year later, I was earning $175,000 a year. Then I took it over $1 million a year. My life changed like night and day. And I often have people say, well, how did you do it? I did it cleaning offices. I was prepared to do anything honest to earn money. I got a bucket and a mop and used floor machines, and I started to clean one office. Do you know, in a relatively short period of time, I was cleaning offices in Toronto, Montreal, Boston, Cleveland, Atlanta, London, England. The thing just took off like a rocket. Now, if you asked me what I was doing, I couldn't really tell you. What did I do that was so different? And you know, it's a strange thing. I started to become aware of ideas that I had been living with that I found out had no substance. There was no foundation for the beliefs that I had been raised with. You see, I had been raised to believe that if you're going to earn a lot of money, you've got to be really brilliant. But I was earning a lot of money and I knew I wasn't. I was raised with the idea that if you don't go to school, you'll never do well in business. I went to grade 9 for 3 months. A couple of months high school, that was it. And here I was operating a business in 3 different countries and 7 different cities. And I started to ask myself, how does this happen? What am I doing that's so different? People would ask me and I say, well, I'm cleaning offices. But you know, I think that cleaning offices was almost incidental to what I was doing. I could have been doing anything. I had to find out what happened to me. Why did I change? And you see, what I really did, I changed my belief about who I am. You know, I've been into the Bible, the Bhagavad Gita, the Quran, the Torah, all the religious books. I have a phenomenal library of self-help books. I've got over 3,000 books on the shelves just in my library alone. They're all up there in alphabetical order by author. Now, up until 1961, I had never read a book. Think and Grow Rich was the first book I'd ever read. But I started to study. I wanted to know, why did I change? Because I gave that book to other people and nothing happened to them. Do you know, it took me 9 years. And what I arrived at is I had changed my belief about who I am. Now, in all of the great books, it said you've got to believe. William James, the great psychologist from Harvard back around 1900, he said, believe, and your belief will actually create the fact. Well, you know, we read that all things are possible if you believe. Well, I started to study this word belief, and I thought, where does it come from? How do we arrive at it? How do we believe? Why do we believe what we believe? Do you know, if you really analyze most of your beliefs, they have no foundation. We believe lies. We really do. We'll say, well, I believe that, and yet our behavior would indicate we'd never heard of it. Now, this really puzzled me. I made a very good move way back in the early 60s. I selected coaches, mentors. I've had 7 of them in my life, and phenomenal ones. And I would listen carefully to them. I'd always have questions prepared when I was going to meet with them. And I remember I was sitting with Val Van de Waal. We were in a hotel in Toronto, and he said something just in idle conversation like that. It was like rockets going off in my mind. He said, our belief system is based upon our evaluation of something. And frequently, if we reevaluate a situation, our belief about that situation will change. I said, what'd you say? He said, what do you mean? I said, you said something about belief. He said, our belief is based upon the evaluation of something. And frequently, if we reevaluate a situation, our belief about it will change. And suddenly, I realized what had happened in my life. I began reevaluating who I was, what made me tick. Do you know, it's a rather sad thing. We can go right through our educational system and learn very little about ourselves. There's a couple of things we're not taught in school. There's many things we're not taught, but there's a couple that are vital to our success. Number one, we're not taught how to earn money. No, we're not. 1% of our population earns 96% of all the money that's being earned. Now think about that for a moment. And we're not taught how to make decisions. That's why we have people running around saying, what do you think I should do? Do you know we're all essentially the same? Do you know what's different is our behavior, our belief systems, and the results we get. But the mind operates exactly the same with you as it does with me. Our body plays the same role. It plays the same role. It's an instrument of the mind. Do you know that you and I can sit down and we can accomplish anything that we can visualize in our mind? Oh, I know you've heard that. You've heard it many, many times, and you read it in all kinds of books. But why is it that we have people read this information, they hear it in recorded fashion, but they don't change? It doesn't happen. There's a missing link. Well, I found out what that missing link was. Now, mind you, it took me a long time. You see, I changed, and my life changed so dramatically, I didn't know why. See, it's not obvious. It's inside. It's like Wallace Waddle says. He says, your success isn't from what you do, it's how you do it. You see? The big difference, a big difference. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. It's what's going on inside. Well, I've been studying this for hundreds of days, thousands of days, every day. I'm absolutely fascinated with it. And you see, I believe you want to know how to do better. Now, I'll tell you why I believe that. Now, you may have given up at some point, but there's something inside of you that wants to express itself in a greater way. That's why it keeps want. And then we're raised to believe, well, you can't have everything you want. The truth is you can. You really can.